Buying your first home can feel like trying to land a plane without ever taking a flying lesson. Do you talk to a lender first? Call a realtor? Start stalking Zillow at 2 a.m.? What's the actual order of things? In this video, I'm walking you through the real life process, from that first conversation with a lender to getting out there and making an offer so you don't waste time, money, or lose your mind. So you think you're ready to buy a house and you're just not sure what the steps are going to be in the process from beginning to actually finding a house and making that offer. So in this video, I'm going to talk about all of those steps. Some may be in greater detail than others, but I want to give you a lowdown on what the expectations would be. So the first step in the house buying process, and I know I've said this in other videos, but talk to a lender. Is it absolutely required? No, it is not. I bought my first house in the 90s. Back then and throughout the early 2000s, most people didn't talk to a lender until after they made an offer on a house and then see what they could be approved for. COVID came around. People didn't want strangers coming into their house without them being kind of vetted. And so part of that vetting process was to make sure that they could even afford the house. And that's where the pre-approval comes in. So make sure you talk to a lender. Now, there's a chance that you're going to be a cash buyer. You don't need to get a loan for the house. That's awesome. Good for you. If you're in that particular wheelhouse, then don't worry about a lender. Just advance on to the next step. But the majority of people need to take out a loan for a house. So I recommend you talk to a lender or two or three. Different lenders do have different programs that they offer, and you want to find the one that's best for you. And maybe even more importantly, you want to find a lender that you're comfortable with. Some lenders are great at teaching and answering all sorts of questions. Other lenders just kind of get straight to the point and are very matter of fact and don't, maybe give you sort of the good feeling that you want when you're working with a lender who's going to know a lot about your finances and is going to be a very important person in the process. So find a lender that's good for you. The next step in the process comes either while working with the lender or maybe the actual process takes place after meeting with your lender, and that is about determining your down payment. Now, I have several videos on here. Go check those out that talk about conventional versus FHA loan and a VA versus a USDA loan. Now, again, this only applies if you are someone who's going to need a loan for a house. If you want to know the difference between those, what's required for each of them, go check out those videos. Based on whatever type of loan you're getting will determine what your down payment is going to be. Each of them has a minimum amount that you're going to have to cover as a down payment. There really isn't a maximum. So if you've got a lot of money saved up, excellent. The more you can put as a down payment, the lower your loan is going to be for the house. Thus, the lower your monthly payments are going to be. But there are advantages to having a lower down payment and having cash later on. So there's a lot that goes into that. Oh, by the way, talk to a lender about that. Other things you're going to need to save up for up front, and this is before you get to closing on a house. You're going to need money for earnest money, and you're going to need money for an inspection. Earnest money, now this applies to Indiana. Earnest money technically is not required in the state of Indiana. However, it is considered good form to put down some money to show the seller that you are serious about buying their house. In Indiana, it is, I'll say, typical that earnest money is close to 1%. Now, earnest money can truly be whatever you want it to be, whatever you're comfortable being. Some people think if they put a larger earnest money down payment on the house, then it shows the seller that they're really serious about buying the house, and so their offer may get accepted in a competitive offer situation. I can see the value in that. But I've also sold a house that's nearly $300,000 where earnest money would have been about $3,000, and she said to me, all I have right now is $500. So we're like, well, let's see what happens. We put that into the offer, and what do you know, it was accepted. So any amount of money is fine, but just know typically it's around 1%, and that's going to be due within the first couple of days of getting under contract to buy a house. So that's money you need to have in your bank, readily accessible soon. There's also the inspection. Once again, here in Indiana, an inspection is going to run you probably $500 to $600. Again, that is paid up front when you schedule your inspection. There's a possibility that you may have further inspections necessary, whether it's from a roofer or a foundation expert or some sort of another expert contractor to come out. Some of them do free estimates, some do not. And so it would help to have money saved up on the side that you can utilize for that. As far as money up front goes, earnest money, inspection, and appraisal are the only three things that are going to be required up front. Even that down payment is not going to be due until you get to closing, so you don't have to have all of that saved up right away. Appraisal I have not talked about. That'll be in another video, but I can tell you here in Indiana, it's going to be roughly $400 to $600. Now, you may have already been doing the next step that I recommend in the process, and that's to start listing your criteria for a house. What's important to you? Is it a one-story versus a two-story house? Do you have to have a basement? Do you absolutely have to have a garage? Does that garage have to have 1, 2, 3 spaces? Does it need to be extra storage space? Do you need a fenced-in backyard? Do you want to be in a certain school district? How many bedrooms do you want? How many bathrooms do you want? Are they going to be full bathrooms or half bathrooms where there isn't a shower or a bathtub? There are multiple things that go into criteria of a house, and it all comes down to what's important to you. The more specific you can be with that, the more specific you and your realtor can be when it comes to actually searching for a house and what you're looking for when you're looking at houses online. Now, I will tell you, several of those things that I named off are going to be noticeable in the pictures. Okay, when you see the pictures of a house online, you can see the backyard in most cases. Is it fenced in or not? Okay, does it have a basement? Probably going to be shown, or it's at least going to be listed online telling you that there's a basement. You're going to be able to see somewhat the condition of the homes, but I will tell you, photos oftentimes make things look better than they really are in person. So it always pays to go look at the house, but pay attention to the criteria. It's important to you when you're looking at houses. And one thing that often gets left out, location. Now, when I say location, I don't just mean what area of town. I don't just mean is it close to a school district. I mean, look at these satellite images of the address of the house. Is it right near a highway or a very busy road? Is there a railroad nearby? Those things factor in for people when they're looking for a house, but they don't think about it until they get there. And then everybody's wasted their time because you're walking around, you're like, oh, this house is nice, but I can hear the highway noise right out there, so we don't want the house. Well, dang it, you could have seen the highway online. Look in advance. Now, as a realtor, I would consider the next step maybe the most important, but certainly one of the most important, and that's find a realtor. Do you have to have a realtor to buy a house? No, you don't. Quite honestly, you don't. But a realtor is going to be there to help you and work on your behalf. If you don't work with a realtor to help you buy a house, then you are at the mercy of the listing agent for the person who's trying to sell the house, and they know all the information. Or if you're working maybe by new construction, you're at the mercy of their long contract and the people who work for them, who's looking out for you. So I definitely recommend people work with a realtor, and I'm not just saying that because I am a realtor. I've bought multiple houses in my life. Working with a realtor was always helpful to me. Now, the way that I work with potential clients is I like to sit down and have a meeting. It's a chance for us to get to meet each other in person. It's a chance for me to answer any questions they have up front. And more importantly, maybe most importantly to me, it's a chance for me to lay out what they are getting into. What are the steps that they're about to go through in the house buying process? And this is super important for someone who's never bought a house before, and maybe less important, but still essential for those who haven't bought a house in a while, because the landscape, the world of real estate has changed over the years. And if it's been several years since somebody bought a house, I would highly recommend sitting down with the realtor to talk about that. With me, that meeting is going to take about 45 minutes to an hour because I'm going to go through every step of the process, fully knowing that they're probably not going to remember everything I say, and that's okay. At least they've heard it once before, so that when something comes up later, I can say, you know what, we did discuss that, but let me refresh your memory on that. And that is valuable to my clients. They seem to appreciate that, and they always leave more comfortable after sitting down and talking to me about what the upcoming steps are. An important piece of that process, which is somewhat new here in 2025, is the buyer's agency agreement. It is required that if you're going to work with a realtor that you have an agreement. If you are listing a house for sale, then you have a listing agreement with your realtor. If you are a buyer going to work with an agent, you have to have a buyer's agency agreement that stipulates everything that your realtor is responsible for. It stipulates everything in there that you are responsible for, and to be honest, it protects the realtor so that you're not going to go look at a couple houses with one person, then you're going to ditch that realtor to go work with another person. It's a way to protect both sides. That document states what the realtor has to do, what their duties and responsibilities are, and it protects the realtor from somebody just ditching them and leaving them high and dry. In most cases, not every case, most cases, a realtor is not going to get paid until you close on a house. So everything that they do, from helping you find a house, taking you on house showings, negotiating on your behalf, dealing with inspections, all that goes into buying a house, that realtor is doing for free with no payment until they get to the closing table. So know that going in, your realtor is doing a lot of work and not seeing any money if you wind up not buying a house with them. There is the part about the commission. Now, a commission in real estate is not standard anywhere. Okay? A realtor can literally set their own commission, and it's negotiable between you and that realtor. It's often, though not always, a percentage of the final sale price of the house, and it's negotiable to the point where you may ask the seller to pay that on your behalf to your realtor. And if they choose not to do that, well, you have the contract that states this is the amount of money or percent that you're going to pay to your realtor when you get to closing. So again, it's a way to make sure everybody knows what the realtor is going to make, and in the end, ultimately, who's going to pay for it when the time comes. The next step, well, that you've probably already been doing by now, but for sure, you're going to actually start your online search. The realtor that you're working with is going to take the criteria that you've given them, and they're going to plug it into their system, which is going to start a search for you online and should start sending you listings that match your criteria, whether it's text messages or emails or potentially both. You've probably already been looking at Zillow, Realtor.com, Redfin, whatever it might be, oftentimes with the phone in your hand, probably laying in bed, watching TV, or laying in bed before you go to sleep at night, and you're just scrolling through, checking out houses. Well, now you've spoken to a lender. So from that lender conversation and the pre-approval that you have, you know how much house you can afford, and now you can narrow down the search for the house that you're looking for. The things that come to your inbox or into your text message stream or whatever you might see when searching online, notify your realtor, hey, can you find out any more information about this house? Because they're going to see what you see online. But sometimes there are some remarks that are made just to realtors online, kind of a secret society, that lets them know what other things might be known about the house that isn't necessarily for the general public. Is the house being sold as is? Is this an estate sale where somebody may have inherited the house and they know nothing about it, so they don't know the condition of things? Is there a pool table in the basement and the seller wants to leave that behind and they want to make sure that the buyer knows that? Again, there are just certain things that are said from realtor to realtor that they can let you know, yeah, this would be a house that's good for you, or you know what? Hey, I looked at the satellite image. Did you notice that there's a highway right next door and you told me you didn't want to live by a highway? Oh, yeah, you forgot to look at that. So that's the conversation starter. Then if your realtor is like, hey, yeah, that's a good one for you, let's go check it out, then your realtor sets up a visit for you for a walkthrough. Now, realtors generally work most hours of the day, 8 to 9 in the morning until 8 to 9 o'clock at night. Those are usually the hours where people allow others to come in their house and do a walkthrough. So schedule something that works at a time for you and the realtor. They make a request to the homeowner to get into the house, and boom, you go look. When you're at the house, pay attention to things. Don't just look at a room and say, oh man, my furniture won't fit in this room, or my furniture will fit in this room. And you start to kind of design things in your head. Pay attention to other things. Does the floor creak when you're walking around? Do you notice any cracks in the ceiling or any water damage in a ceiling that may have been covered up? Is there fresh paint? Sometimes fresh paint is great to make it look fresh, but sometimes it's there to cover up something that was there before that they don't want you to know about. Pay attention to things. The more houses you go see, the more houses you will start to realize have or don't have what you're looking for, and you start to get a better idea of what it is you should be looking for when you're checking out houses. On average, Potential home buyers visit 8 to 10 homes before they find a house that they want to make an offer on. Sometimes, and I've done this, I've taken a client out to see one house, they loved it, they made an offer on it, got under contract, boom, they found a unicorn. One house, one deal, great. I've also had clients that I've taken to see 60 houses. And yes, that took several months, but sometimes they just are too picky, or it's a competitive offer situation. They can't find a house that they can actually get under contract for because they got beat out, or who knows what. But on average, it's about 8 to 10 homes that people look at before they actually make an offer and get under contract. One of the nice things about going to see several houses is it starts to either narrow your criteria or expand your criteria. You know, maybe you're being too picky and you need to expand things, give yourself a little bit more freedom. Maybe you don't have to be right next to the school. Maybe you can be in the school district and find a house that's more affordable somewhere else that fits more of what you're looking for. Or maybe it narrows what you're looking for. Are you being too broad? Okay. All right. Well, I'd be fine with a 3 or 4 bedroom house. And now you realize, you know what? I really don't need a 4 bedroom house. They're more expensive than these 3 bedroom houses. Let's just drop it down and say 3 bedrooms. So things like that can happen as you go to see more and more houses. One other thing to consider when you're out looking at houses is expanding your search to something else. Instead of looking at existing homes, maybe consider building with new construction, because some construction companies have homes that are spec homes or already built for you homes, and you can move in quicker or pretty soon, or maybe quicker than you would have if you were trying to buy someone else's house. You may have thought you can't afford a new construction home, but you actually may be able to make that happen. Maybe it's not a house you need at all. Maybe you want a condo or a townhouse. They have certain advantages. Number one, it's something you own. So you get to build equity and you get to improve your wealth status as you build equity in a house. And many condos or townhouses, not all, they come with exterior maintenance already done for you. They cut your grass, they take care of your landscaping, they shovel and plow, and if the roof leaks, that's their responsibility. There are lots of various benefits to having a condo or a townhouse, and you actually get to own it. Yes, sometimes it's kind of like an apartment where you share a wall or share a building with one other unit or maybe several units, and then you do have to deal with neighbors. So there are some negatives to it as well, but maybe that's something that you could potentially consider. All right, so you have looked at multiple houses and now you're ready to make an offer. So the next, and in this video, final step is to discuss with your agent what goes into making an offer. Of course, that always starts with the price. How much are you willing to offer? Are you going to need to go over list price because it's going to be a competitive offer situation and you really want to win the house? Do you just need to offer list price, so what they're asking for the house? Or is there a chance that you negotiate and start with a lower amount? There's always the concern about, how low can you go, where you're offering something that may be considered acceptable versus something that may offend them, and then you're just killing any future deals because you've offended them right off the bat. So that's a conversation you need to have with your agent. They're not going to know for sure, but they do know how the market has been working and what's considered a reasonable offer versus something that would be considered potentially offensive. In addition to price, you need to talk about closing. I usually schedule closing for about 30 to 35 days out from when the offer is accepted. So calendar-wise, start to plan that out when closing could potentially work for you. Because once you're under contract for that house, the lender's going to do their background checking and making sure that they can actually approve the loan for you in the end. The title company is going to be doing all the background checking on the title for the house, making sure that nobody else claims ownership and that there's no taxes owed or any other penalties to the homeowner. All that happens over several weeks, and so 30 to 35 days is pretty good. That can be changed later on, either moved earlier or moved later depending on the situation, but there are amendments and agreements from both parties that have to be signed in order to be changing closing date. What is your plan for an inspection? I always recommend you have a home inspection, whether the home is brand new or whether the home is 100 years old, because you just don't know what you don't know. An inspector is going to get up on the roof, go up in the attic, go down in the crawl space, check out the basement, check out all the plumbing and electrical and all of that. So your inspection period is going to be recommended by your agent. I usually go with about a 10-day inspection period. That gives my client time to set up the inspection, to have it done, and gives the chance to come up with an inspection response that we're going to send over to the other agent. And if you need any other contractors come in, like a roofer or a basement person or whatever it is, that gives you time to have that done because you have that 10-day window. Remember, inspections are paid when you schedule them. What's included with the house? Just because you saw appliances in the house does not necessarily mean that those are included. They could be, and if they are, great, but make sure your agent puts that on the purchase agreement. Is there anything else in the house you may want? Is there a pool table in the basement that you want to ask to keep? A hot tub in the backyard? Maybe they have a cool riding mower in the garage and you want to potentially talk about buying that riding mower from them. What else do you want included in the purchase agreement? Don't forget about earnest money. Remember, that's going to be due within a couple of days of getting under contract for the house. It's traditionally about 1% of the purchase price, so make sure you have that money and you get it turned in on time. And something that people ask me, and I don't know why I think at first I found this funny, can you make more than one offer? The answer is no. If you find a house you like, that's the only one you can offer on. Because let's say you were to offer on 2 different houses around the same time, and both of them got accepted around the same time, you could be under contract to buy 2 houses, and you probably don't have the money for that. So once you find the house you like, it's very typical for there to be a bit of buyer's remorse. Shake that off because you love this house and you want this house. Just go with it. So if you're just starting to search and wondering what the heck to do first, talk to a lender, meet with an agent, build a wish list, you're already ahead of the game just by watching this. If you're buying your first home in Indy, I'd love to help you through it without the pressure, the fluff, or the weird sales tactics. Hit the link in my show notes and let's make a plan that actually works for you. Thanks for watching.